So in this video, I want to talk about the relationship between Issei and the girls, and particularly some of the girls that he has a bit of a different relationship when it comes to his trauma. And this is something that I've spoken about once before in an older video that's long lost to time, where I talked about Issei's trauma, because Issei did go through trauma. And I feel like some DxD fans or parts of the community keep denying that Issei went through trauma itself, even though it's very prevalent in the anime and in the light novels because of what Rainier did, where she technically, well, pretty much killed Issei, and the pain and the suffering and the betrayal that he went through, because that was kind of his first love. And it ended up just being a fallen angel that just wanted to steal or kill him for his sacred gear. Not so much steal, but kill him for it. The thing is that, again, Issei went through those moments. They would have left not physical scars, but emotional scars inside of him, where he would have been a little bit more hesitant to get closer to girls. And this is the thing about Issei, is that, and I think this is masterfully done. Like, it's brilliant how the writer has done this, because this is where people will counter it and say, oh, but Issei loves boobs, he gets so close to the girls, they get all intimate with him, but he never really wants to go too far beyond that. He doesn't want to get too intimate. And this is something with him and Rias, because clearly he likes Rias. Rias likes him. But he doesn't want to get too close to Rias in the sense of romanticness. He loves the flirtatiousness, but it goes no more than flirtatiousness and then actual no proper relationship, because, again, he's got the trauma of his past relationship that was holding him back. Now, in the light novels, it's gone well past this point, but I wanted to talk about it because I think it is a point that some people deny. Because they use the whole fact that, oh, but Issei likes getting all close with the girls from a physical standpoint. But again, physical and emotional are two very different things. Very different. And so I think people ignore that. And even, again, in the anime, which is why I use it as a point, because generally speaking, anime can skip a lot of details, but even in the anime, it highlights this, where Rias gets really upset because she feels that Issei doesn't actually want to have a proper relationship, even though he keeps kind of pushing for it, but then he keeps jerking back. It's like that bit of game of chicken. He's getting closer and closer and closer and then jenks back. Gets closer and closer and closer and jenks back. And the reason being is because he wants it, he desires it, he's in love with her, but he keeps having that moment of trauma and it yanks him back. And the girls aren't completely aware of it until a little bit later as it progresses on, and then they go, oh, this is what's going on, and then that's when the girls help him. Now, this is the thing, is that the girls are trying their best they can in the earlier stages to try and help when they start seeing little signs by trying to push him a little bit, but they don't know how to approach it completely. And this is the thing, like, you look at the early stages where it's very much just kind of like, it feels just like a normal day. They're flirting, there's not too much going on, but as it gradually builds up, the girls do notice it very incrementally, and they're trying to help little by little bit. But as time goes on, the problem becomes worse and worse and worse, especially between the relationship between Issei and Rias, and so that's when they need to do a more hands-on approach, or more action-heavy, of trying to help Issei through that trauma, because again, he was hurt pretty badly, physically and emotionally. And I think it's very well done how the story goes about it, but I do think that some anime-only fans look at this and go, oh, it's just an ecchi series, so there's no actual character development. And I think that's sometimes something that happens to DxD still. I know we all have the running joke, we come for the plot, and we stay for the plot, but that also being said, there are some people that do just come purely for the fan service, and they don't care for the plot, and they don't care to see the actual underlying character development that goes on with the girls and Issei, and all they want to see is just the bubbly wobblies, which is fine, but you also can't sit there and talk about character development and say it doesn't exist because you're only caring about the bubbly wobblies, because you're going to ignore what is there. And that's one of the things that I think gets praised so heavily about High School DxD, is that it is a series that has actual character development, depth, the story's moving forward. And what would seem like villains end up becoming allies, and it's interestingly done. It's not like one of those where it's like a power show, which it kind of is, but one of those typical ones where it's all just kind of like, oh, the villain just gets forgiven for all their deeds, but there's still the characters there. Like, one thing that I hate about some animes that do have villains is that they go from being this evil, diabolical villain, and then next minute they decide to just throw away their villain behavior and suddenly become the goodest and best person on the planet. But with High School DxD, you do have some of these villains. There are the two. There are the villains that are unredeemable and they end up getting killed, and there are those, some that are seen as villains that do become allies, but still do have their own personal motives and drives, and they're not going to just, again, go with everything the good guys per se are wanting to do, all the team, Rias' team and everything. So it's one of the things that I do like about High School DxD is it doesn't water down a villain to being kind of hypocritical in the sense, or just kind of like a coin flip or a switch where they just go from one thing to the other and it feels kind of like whiplash. I love how High School DxD does this, and I love the gradual change in the story, the development. It's a series that I've always praised very heavily, but the trauma is there. Issei has trauma. Whether you want to admit it or not, it is there. But the fact that the girls didn't try to help him sooner, it depends on how far you're looking on the spectrum. If we're looking like right at the early stages, then yeah, they probably didn't notice. But as things start to gradually build up, the girls do try to help, but they're trying to not be as overbearing about it. They're just trying to push and nudge him in the right direction. Little things here and there. But the problem is that Issei is very deep in his trauma, and so it gets worse and worse and worse to the point where they do have to be a little bit more proactive. It's not that they're not trying to help, is that they were trying to be a little bit more delicate at the start and then a bit more proactive later on once they realize that this is a bit more of a serious issue. Again, these girls aren't all-knowing. They're not psychologists. They're not trained to deal with these kinds of things, but they try the best they can to be there to support Issei through it. And I think that's another problem as well. These are technically high school girls. you get why I'm laughing there. But this also being said, again, Rias, as much as, she is who she is just a high school student that's just trying to live life, and it's the same with Akano and all the other girls. They're not equipped to deal with these kinds of things. They've never really dealt with these kinds of things. So it's not like they're wizards in their own right of, oh, Issei's got trauma, we know exactly what to do. And yeah, they could go to their superiors, but even then, again, they're not psychologists, they're not experts in these, and so they're trying to do the best they can, and once they realize where the trauma's coming, how deep it is, they do their best to help Issei heal. And so I do think how High School DxD does this topic is masterfully done, because it's not overbearing, it's not cringy, it's not forced in your face, and it's not done in a way that kind of belittles the trauma itself. It does it in, I think, a way that's gradual. And yeah, there are people that are going to say the girls should have helped sooner, but again, they aren't perfect. Maybe they could have done more. Maybe they didn't have to do more. Again, that is based on a perspective that you can have, but I think how the story has done it well. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of the trauma? Because again, as I've stated, some people just deny that the trauma is ever there, even though it's in the anime and in the light novel, and I think how they go about it is done well. And I think Akano being sort of as close to Issei as they are, I think she helped very well. Yeah, I know some people say I'm a big Akano simp, but I do think how they went about that kind of situation was very well done, which allowed the relationship between Issei and Rias to grow from that point onwards. So again, love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.